Name your price.
Name your price. The words hung in the air like smoke. Heavy. Dangerous. Kellen Vale leaned back in his chair, swirling his wine glass, watching his brother with the kind of smile that didn't reach anywhere near his eyes. Soren didn't answer right away. His gaze moved slowly across the room, past the guards, past the candles flickering on the table, past the men in expensive suits pretending not to listen. Then his eyes stopped. On her. McKenna felt it before she saw it. That shift in the air. That moment when you know something terrible is about to happen and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Her fingers tightened around the silver tray she was holding. She kept her head down. That's what you did in houses like this. You stayed small, you stayed quiet. You didn't exist unless someone needed you to. But Soren raised his hand and pointed directly at her. The maid. The room froze. Laughter died mid-breath. Glasses stopped clinking. Even the men with guns shifted uneasily, like they couldn't believe what they'd just heard. McKenna's heart slammed against her ribs so hard she thought it might crack through her chest. Her. Not money, not land, not power. Her. Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. Kellen's smile faltered, just for a second. But it was enough. You're joking, he said, voice tight. Soren didn't blink, didn't smile, didn't move. I want her, he repeated. Calm, cold, final. Right now. McKenna felt the weight of every eye in the room turn toward her. She wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor, to wake up somewhere else. But she couldn't move, because something in Kellen's face had changed. Fear flickered across his expression. Real fear. Like he was seeing her for the first time. Like she wasn't just a maid. Like she was something else entirely. You don't know what you're asking for, Kellen said quietly. His voice was different now. Tight. Dangerous. Soren stood slowly. He didn't look at his brother. He looked at McKenna, and he held out his hand. Come, he said. It wasn't a question. McKenna hesitated. Her legs felt like stone. Her mind screamed at her to run, to say no, to do anything but move. But then she saw Kellen's face again. That fear, that panic, and she realized something worse. Staying here was more dangerous than leaving. So she took one step forward. The room held its breath. Soren's hand stayed extended. Steady. Waiting. McKenna's pulse roared in her ears, her vision blurred at the edges. She didn't understand what was happening. Didn't understand why he'd chosen her. Didn't understand the look on Kellen's face. But something in Soren's voice told her this wasn't a rescue. It was the beginning of something dangerous, and she had no idea why he wanted her. Her foot lifted. One step, then another. The silver tray slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. No one moved to pick it up, because everyone was watching her walk toward the man who'd just bought her life with 2 words. McKenna's hand trembled as she reached out. Soren's fingers closed around hers. Warm, firm, protective, or possessive. She couldn't tell the difference anymore. Kellen stood abruptly. His chair scraped against the floor. No, he said sharply. Not her. Soren's grip tightened just slightly. You offered, he said. Kellen's jaw clenched. His eyes burned with something McKenna had never seen before. Desperation. She's nothing, Kellen spat. Soren's voice dropped, cold as winter. That's exactly why. And without another word he turned, still holding her hand, still pulling her toward the door. McKenna's legs moved on their own. She didn't look back, didn't dare, because she could feel Kellen's stare burning into her back, and she knew. Whatever just happened in that room, it changed everything. McKenna had learned how to disappear long before she learned how to speak up. In houses like Kellen Vale's, silence wasn't just survival. It was the only rule that mattered. You didn't ask questions. You didn't meet eyes. You didn't exist unless someone called for you, and most of the time, they didn't even use your name. Girl, bring more ice. Girl, clean this up. Girl, you're in the way. Sometimes they didn't call her anything at all, just snapped their fingers and pointed, like she was furniture with a pulse. Makina scrubbed floors until her knees ached, polished glass until her reflection stared back at her like a stranger. Served drinks with steady hands even when her stomach twisted with hunger. She kept her head down, kept her voice soft, kept herself small. Because that's what you did when you had nowhere else to go. That morning started like every other. Quiet, cold, lonely. She was wiping down the marble countertops in the kitchen when she heard Kellen's voice from the other room. He was on the phone, laughing. That low, lazy laugh that made her skin crawl. Tell him to come, Kellen said. Today, we finish this. Makina's hand froze mid-wipe. Finish what? She didn't know, but her chest tightened anyway. Something about the way he said it. Something about the silence that followed. It felt like a storm gathering on the horizon. She went back to scrubbing, pretended she hadn't heard anything. That's what you did. You heard everything. You said nothing. Hours later, the penthouse filled with people. Men in sharp suits, women with perfect smiles, guards standing quietly in corners like shadows. Makina moved through the room like a ghost, pouring wine, clearing plates, staying out of the way. But her hands were shaking. She didn't know why, just a feeling, that crawling sense that something was wrong. Then it happened. She was pouring wine into a crystal glass when her hand slipped. Just a drop. One single drop of red wine splashed onto the white tablecloth. Kellen's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. Not hard, but tight enough to stop her breathing. He leaned in close. His cologne was expensive. His breath was cold. Don't embarrass me tonight, he whispered. His voice was calm. Too calm. Makina nodded quickly. I'm sorry. He let go. She stepped back, kept her head down, kept moving. But her heart was racing. Because she'd seen that look before. That smile that didn't reach his eyes. That tone that promised consequences if you made one more mistake. She'd learned long ago that dignity was something you held inside, where no one could take it. So she straightened her shoulders, steadied her breathing, and kept going. But as the night went on, the walls felt like they were closing in. The laughter got louder, the voices sharper, the air thicker. Makina felt it pressing down on her chest, that sense of dread, that feeling like the past was circling back, like something was coming, and she couldn't stop it. She was clearing empty glasses from a side table when she felt it. A shift in the room, the kind of shift that made everyone stop talking at once. Makina glanced up. The elevator doors were opening. Slowly, the lights dimmed just slightly. Or maybe it was her imagination, but the room went quiet. Even Kellen straightened in his seat. Makina's pulse hammered in her throat. She didn't know who was coming, but she knew it mattered. The elevator doors slid open, and a presence stepped into the room. Makina felt him before she saw him. The air in the room changed, got heavier, like the oxygen had been replaced with something thicker, something dangerous. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Glasses paused halfway to lips. Even the guard straightened. Soren Vale stepped out of the elevator. He didn't rush, didn't smile, didn't announce himself. He didn't need to. His presence silenced the room without a single word. Tall, calm, unreadable. He wore a dark suit that fit like it was made for him, which it probably was, but it wasn't the clothes that made people stare. It was the way he moved, like he owned every inch of space around him, like the world bent slightly when he entered it. Kellen rose from his seat, all charm, all teeth. "Brother," he said, arms open like they were old friends. Soren nodded once. "Barely. You said you wanted to end this." His voice was low, steady. The kind of voice that didn't need to be loud to be heard. Makina kept her head down, kept pouring drinks, kept moving, but her hands were shaking again. She didn't know why. Then it happened. She looked up, just for a second, and their eyes met. Soren's gaze locked onto hers, and he didn't look away. Most people looked through her, past her, around her, but Soren looked at her, like he saw something, like he recognized something he'd lost. Makina's breath caught in her throat, her fingers slipped. The wine bottle tilted. Red wine splashed across the white tablecloth, spreading like blood. "Watch what you're doing." Kellen's voice cracked through the room like a whip. Makina flinched, her heart slammed against her ribs. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." She reached for a napkin. Her hands were trembling so hard she could barely hold it. Kellen stood. His smile was gone. "Do I need to remind you how to do your job?" His voice was quiet, but the threat underneath it was loud. Makina's throat tightened. She nodded quickly, kept her eyes down. But before Kellen could say another word, Soren's voice cut through the room. "That's enough." Everyone turned. Soren's eyes hadn't left Makina. "She's human," he said quietly. The words landed hard, like stones dropped into still water. Kellen laughed, but it sounded forced. "She's staff." Soren stood slowly. His gaze finally shifted to his brother. "And you're cruel." The room went silent. No one moved. No one breathed, because no one talked to Kellen Vale like that. And no one ever got away with it. Makina stood frozen. The napkin still clutched in her hand. Her chest felt tight. Her mind raced. Someone had just defended her, not because they wanted something, not because they pitied her, but because it was right. She didn't know what to do with that. Kellen's jaw tightened. His eyes flicked between Soren and Makina. Something dark crossed his face. Something that looked like fear, or maybe recognition. He tilted his head slightly, studied Makina like he was seeing her for the first time. "You don't know what you're talking about," Kellen said carefully. Soren didn't blink. "I know exactly what I'm talking about." The tension in the room was suffocating. Makina wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor, to be anywhere but here. But she couldn't move, because something was happening, something she didn't understand, and it had everything to do with her. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone treated like they don't matter, and how many times did you stay quiet? Sometimes all it takes is one person to speak up. One person to say enough. Kellen finally broke the silence. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Let's talk," he said smoothly. "Alone." Soren nodded once, but before he turned away, his gaze found Makina one more time. Just for a second. And in that second, Makina felt something she hadn't felt in years. Seen. The two brothers walked toward the private study. The door closed behind them, and Makina was left standing in the middle of the room, heart racing, mind spinning, because she knew. Whatever was about to happen in that room, it had everything to do with her. The study door opened 20 minutes later. Makina's heart jumped. She'd been standing in the hallway, waiting, pretending to organize glasses on a tray, but really she was listening, trying to hear what was being said behind that closed door. All she caught were muffled voices, low, tense. Now the brothers walked back into the main room, side by side, but they didn't look like family. They looked like enemies pretending to be civilized. Kellen gestured toward the table. His smile was back, but it looked painted on. "Let's settle this," he said. Soren sat down across from him, calm, unreadable. The room fell silent again. Everyone watched. Makina moved to the drink cart, kept her hands busy, kept her breathing steady, but her pulse was racing. Kellen leaned back in his chair, swirled his wine glass, studied his brother like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. You've been blocking my deals, Kellen said casually. Soren didn't deny it. You want something, Kellen continued. So let's stop pretending otherwise. Soren's voice was low, steady. I want the truth. Kellen laughed, but it didn't sound amused. About what? You know. The pause that followed was too long, too heavy. Kellen's smile tightened, just slightly. Then he spread his hands, gestured around the room like he was offering the world. Fine, he said. Let's do this clean. He leaned forward, eyes sharp. Name your price. The sentence echoed. McKenna's hands froze on the bottle she was holding. Soren's gaze moved slowly over the guests, over the guards, over the candles flickering on the table. Then it landed on McKenna. Her stomach dropped. No. Please, no. Soren raised his hand and pointed directly at her. The maid. The room erupted. Laughter, loud, nervous, like someone had just told a joke no one understood. But McKenna wasn't laughing, and neither was Kellen. His face went pale. Actually, pale, like the color had drained right out of him. No, Kellen said sharply. The laughter died immediately. Everyone turned to look at him. Soren stood slowly. His eyes never left Kellen's face. You offered. Kellen's jaw clenched so hard McKenna could see the muscle twitch. Not her. Soren tilted his head slightly. Why not? Kellen's hand tightened around his glass. She's nothing, he said, but his voice cracked, just barely. Soren's gaze hardened. That's exactly why. The room was so quiet McKenna could hear her own heartbeat. She felt every eye turn toward her, like she was suddenly visible after years of being invisible. And she hated it. Kellen stood abruptly, his chair scraped against the floor. You don't know what you're doing. Soren's voice dropped, cold as ice. I know exactly what I'm doing. McKenna's legs felt weak, her chest tight. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. People didn't just get traded like objects, except she'd spent her whole life being treated like one. So maybe it was. Soren turned toward her, held out his hand. Come with me. McKenna stared at him. Her mind screamed at her to run, to say no, to do anything but move. But then she saw Kellen's face. Fear. Real fear. Not anger, not annoyance. Fear. And she realized something worse. Kellen didn't want her to leave. Not because he cared, but because he was afraid of what she might remember. Her breath caught. What did I forget? Soren's hand stayed extended, steady, patient. You have a choice, he said quietly. McKenna's throat burned. A choice. No one had ever given her that before. She looked at Kellen one more time. His eyes were sharp, warning. Then she looked at Soren. His eyes were calm, waiting. Her hand trembled as she reached out. Slowly, her fingers brushed his palm, then closed around it. Warm, firm, steady. Soren's grip tightened just slightly. Not possessive, protective. McKenna's legs shook as she stepped forward, away from the drink cart, away from the life she knew, toward something unknown. Kellen's voice cut through the silence. You'll regret this. Soren didn't turn back. I already regret letting you live comfortably. And without another word, he guided McKenna toward the elevator. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. She didn't look back. Didn't dare. Because she could feel Kellen's stare burning into her, and she knew. Whatever just happened changed everything. The elevator doors closed, and McKenna felt like she'd just sealed herself inside a coffin. Her hand was still in Soren's, warm, steady, but her whole body was shaking. The elevator descended in silence. She could hear her own breathing. Too fast, too loud. When the doors opened, the lobby stretched out in front of them. Marble floors, high ceilings, people everywhere. and every single one of them turned to stare. Whispers followed them like shadows. Is that the maid? Did he really just... What is Kellen going to do? Makina kept her eyes down, kept moving, but the stares burned into her skin. She'd spent her whole life being invisible. Now she was the only thing people could see. Soren's grip on her hand tightened slightly, not painful, just grounding. Like he knew she was 1 second away from running. They walked through the lobby, past the security desk, past the glass doors. Outside, the night air hit Makina's face like freedom and terror mixed together. Cold, sharp, real. A black car waited at the curb, engine running. Soren opened the door for her. Makina hesitated. Her mind screamed at her to turn around, to go back, to apologize. But then she heard Kellen's voice in her head, "You'll regret this." And she knew. Going back was worse. She slid into the car. The leather seats were soft, too soft, like she didn't belong there. Soren got in beside her, closed the door. The world outside disappeared behind tinted windows. The car pulled away, and Makina watched the building get smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror, until it was gone. Streetlights passed in silence. Makina's hands twisted together in her lap. Her chest felt tight. She didn't know where they were going, didn't know what was happening, didn't know if this was rescue or something worse. Finally, she found her voice. Why? It came out as a whisper. Soren didn't answer right away. His jaw was tight. His eyes were on the road. Makina's throat burned. "If this is some game," she said quietly, "please don't use me." Soren's jaw tightened. "I'm not using you." Makina turned to look at him. "Then why me?" He was silent for a long moment. Then his voice dropped, almost to himself. "It's not you." Makina frowned. "Then what is it?" Soren kept his eyes on the road. "It's what you carry." Makina's chest tightened. "I don't carry anything," she said. Her voice shook. "I don't have anything. I'm nobody, I'm just..." "You're not nobody." Soren's voice was firm, final. Makina stared at him. "Then who am I?" Soren finally glanced at her, and for the first time she saw something in his eyes. Not pity, not possession. Something else. Recognition. "You don't remember," he said quietly. Makina's stomach dropped. "Remember what?" Soren turned back to the road. "Everything." The car turned onto a private road. Gates opened automatically. Tall trees lined the driveway. Lights glowed in the distance. Makina's pulse raced. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere safe." "Safe from what?" Soren didn't answer. The car stopped in front of a house. Not a penthouse, not a cold marble palace. A house, with warm lights in the windows. Soren got out, came around and opened her door. Makina stepped out, slowly. Her legs felt weak. She looked up at him. "Please," she whispered. "Tell me what's happening." Soren met her eyes. "You were used your whole life," he said quietly. "Treated like you didn't matter. Like you were nothing." Makina's throat burned. Because he was right. "But you do matter," Soren continued. "More than you know." Makina shook her head. "I don't understand." Soren's voice softened. "I know." He stepped closer. "But you will." Makina's breath caught. "How do you know me?" Soren's eyes darkened. "Because I've been looking for you." The world tilted. Makina's vision blurred. "Why?" Soren hesitated. Then he said the words that changed everything. "Because you were there." Makina's heart stopped. "There where?" Soren's jaw clenched. "The night my father died." Makina staggered back. Her mind went blank. "That's impossible," she whispered. Soren didn't argue. He just looked at her, with eyes that knew something she didn't. "You don't remember," he said quietly. Makina shook her head. Tears burned her eyes. "I don't remember anything," Soren nodded slowly. I know. He stepped closer. But you will. McKenna's whole body trembled. Why don't I remember? Soren's voice dropped to barely a whisper. Because someone made sure you forgot. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Dangerous. True. McKenna's knees buckled. Soren caught her before she fell. His arms were strong. Steady. And for the first time in her life, McKenna let herself lean on someone, because the ground beneath her had just disappeared, and she had no idea what was real anymore. Soren's home didn't feel like Kellen's. No cold marble, no echoing hallways, no voices shouting behind closed doors. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that felt almost peaceful. Almost. McKenna stood in the entryway, her arms wrapped around herself, her eyes darting around like she was waiting for something to go wrong, because in her experience, it always did. A woman appeared from another room. Older, kind eyes. Soft, smile. This is Maria, Soren said. She'll show you to your room. McKenna nodded slowly. Maria gestured down the hallway. This way, dear. McKenna followed. Each step felt strange, like she was walking through someone else's life. Maria opened a door at the end of the hall. Here you are. McKenna stepped inside and stopped. The room was beautiful. Not fancy, not overwhelming, just real. A bed with clean white sheets, a window with curtains that looked soft, a small lamp on the nightstand, and a door, with a lock, on the inside. McKenna stared at it. Maria smiled gently. You can lock it whenever you want. No one will come in without your permission. McKenna's throat tightened. Permission. She'd never had that before. Maria placed fresh towels on the bed. There's a bathroom through that door. Take your time. Rest. She left quietly, and McKenna was alone. She stood there for a long time, just staring at the room. At the bed she didn't have to share. At the door she could lock. At the space that was hers. Her chest felt tight. She should have felt relief. Instead, she felt fear. Because safety felt unfamiliar. And unfamiliar things were dangerous. Later that night, Soren stood in the doorway. He didn't come in, just stood at the threshold. I won't touch you, he said calmly. No one will. McKenna blinked, her hands twisted together. Why are you telling me that? Because I saw you flinch earlier, he said, and I need you to know you're safe. Her throat burned. No one had ever said that to her before. Not once. Soren stepped back. Rest. The door closed, and McKenna sat on the edge of the bed. Her whole body trembled. She didn't cry at first. She just sat there, staring at the wall. Then the tears came. Silent. Hot. Unstoppable. She covered her mouth with both hands. Tried to keep the sobs quiet. Because crying out loud had always been dangerous. But here, alone in this room, she let herself break. Because safety felt dangerous. Because kindness felt like a trap. And because part of her wondered if this was all temporary. If tomorrow she'd wake up back in that cold penthouse. Back to being invisible. Back to being nothing. She lay down, pulled the blanket over herself, closed her eyes, and tried to sleep. But sleep didn't come easy. Instead, something else came. A memory. Uninvited. Unwanted. Rain. Cold. Heavy. Pounding against the ground. A woman's voice. Urgent. Terrified. Run! McKenna's eyes snapped open. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She sat up, breathing hard. What was that? Her hands shook as she pressed them against her face. She didn't want to remember, because remembering had always hurt. Remembering meant facing things she'd buried so deep she'd almost forgotten they existed. She shook her head. Hard. No, she whispered into the dark. No. She lay back down, pulled the blanket tighter, tried to push the memory away, but it clung to her like smoke. Rain. A scream. Running. She squeezed her eyes shut. Stop, she whispered. Please stop. The room was quiet again, but her mind wasn't. Morning came slowly. McKenna didn't sleep much, just drifted in and out of restless half-dreams. When sunlight filtered through the curtains, she sat up. Her body ached, her head throbbed. She stood, walked to the door, unlocked it, stepped into the hallway. The house was quiet, peaceful. She moved slowly, taking in everything. Then she stopped. In the hallway, on a small shelf, a framed photograph. 2 boys, young, maybe 10 and 12, and a man standing behind them, proud, smiling. McKenna's breath caught, her chest tightened. She stepped closer, stared at the man's face, and something inside her cracked open. "I've seen him," she whispered. Her hand reached out, trembling, almost touched the glass. "I've seen him before." Footsteps behind her, Soren's voice, calm but careful. "Who?" McKenna didn't turn around. She just pointed. "Your father." Soren went still, completely still. "How do you know him?" McKenna shook her head, her voice barely a whisper. "I don't know." She looked at Soren, her eyes wide, confused, terrified. "But I've seen him." Soren studied her face. "Do you remember your childhood?" he asked carefully. McKenna shook her head. "Not much." He nodded slowly. "Do you remember the night you got that scar?" McKenna's hand flew to her hairline, to the small scar hidden beneath her hair, the one she'd had for as long as she could remember. "How do you know about that?" Soren's voice dropped. "Because I've been looking for you." McKenna's heart pounded. "Why?" Soren stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "Because you were there." Her stomach fell. "There where?" Soren's eyes darkened. "The night my father died." McKenna staggered back, her hand pressed against the wall to keep from falling. "That's impossible," she whispered. Soren didn't move, didn't argue. He just watched her, waiting. McKenna shook her head, hard. "I don't know your father. I've never—" She stopped, because the man's face in the photograph was pulling at something deep inside her, something she couldn't name, something she'd buried. "I don't remember," she said. Her voice cracked. Soren's jaw tightened. "I know." He stepped closer, slowly, like he was approaching something fragile. "Tell me what you do remember," he said quietly. McKenna's throat burned. "Nothing. I don't remember anything before I was 12. Soren's eyes darkened. 12. McKenna nodded. "I woke up in a hospital. They said I'd been in an accident, that I hit my head." Her hand moved to the scar again, hidden beneath her hair. "They said I was lucky to be alive." Soren's voice dropped. "Who told you that?" McKenna frowned. "The doctors, the social workers. And after? Foster care, different houses, different families." Her voice went flat. "No one kept me long." Soren studied her face. "Do you know why?" McKenna's chest tightened. "Because I was difficult, because I had nightmares, because I—" She stopped. Soren waited. "Because I kept asking questions," McKenna whispered. "What kind of questions?" "About my family. About where I came from. About why no one came for me." Her eyes burned. "They told me to stop. Said it was better not to remember." Soren's fists clenched at his sides. "They lied." McKenna looked up at him. "How do you know?" Soren gestured to the photograph. "Because that night, the night my father died, you were there." McKenna's breath came faster. "I don't remember." "I know." "Then how can you be sure?" Soren's voice was steady, final. "Because my mother died protecting you." The words hit like a punch. McKenna's knees buckled. Soren caught her arm, kept her standing. "What?" she whispered. "My mother," Soren repeated. "She pushed you away, told you to run." McKenna's vision blurred. "No. Yes. That's not—" "It is." McKenna pulled away from him, pressed both hands against her face. "I don't remember," she said again. Louder this time. But even as she said it, something flickered. A flash. Rain. Cold. Heavy. A woman's voice. "Run!" Makina gasped. Her hands dropped. "I heard someone," she whispered. Soren went still. "What?" "Last night, in my sleep. I heard someone screaming." Her voice shook. "She told me to run." Soren's jaw clenched. "That was my mother." Makina shook her head. "I don't know that. I don't know anything." "You do," Soren said firmly. "You just don't remember yet." Makina's chest heaved. "Why don't I remember?" Soren's eyes hardened. "Because someone made sure you forgot." The words hung in the air, heavy, dangerous. Makina's mind raced. "Who?" Soren's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Kellen." The name sent ice through her veins. "Why would he?" "Because you were the only witness." Makina's stomach turned. "Witness to what?" Soren's voice was cold. "Final. Murder." The room spun. Makina stumbled back, hit the wall. "No. Yes. That's not possible." "It is." Makina's breathing came in short gasps. "I would remember something like that. Not if someone made sure you didn't." Her mind fought against it, pushed it away, but the pieces were starting to fit. The nightmares, the scar, the gap in her memory, the way Kellen looked at her that night. Fear. He was afraid. Not of her, of what she might remember. Makina pressed her hands against her head. "I don't want to remember," she whispered. Soren's voice softened. "I know. It hurts. I know." Tears slid down her cheeks. "What if I can't?" Soren stepped closer. "Then we find another way." Makina looked up at him. "Another way to what?" "Prove the truth." Her voice cracked. "What if the truth destroys me?" Soren held her gaze. "Then I'll be there to catch you." Makina stared at him. For the first time, she believed him. She turned back to the photograph, looked at the man's face again, and this time something shifted. Not a memory. A feeling. Safe. She'd felt safe with him. Her breath caught. "I knew him," she whispered. Soren nodded slowly. "Yes." "How?" "He protected you." Makina's chest tightened. "From what?" Soren's voice was steady. "From the person who wanted you dead." Makina's whole body went cold. "Who?" Soren's eyes met hers, and in that moment she saw the truth. Before he even said it. Kellen. The name echoed, and somewhere deep inside, a door Makina had kept locked for years began to crack open. Rain, screaming, running, a bang, a woman falling, blood. Makina gasped. Her knees gave out. Soren caught her before she hit the ground. "I remember," she whispered. Her voice broke. "I remember." Soren held her while she shook. Didn't say anything. Didn't push. Just let her breathe. When Makina finally steadied, he helped her to a chair. Her whole body felt heavy, like the weight of years had just crashed down on her all at once. Soren disappeared for a moment, came back with water. She drank it slowly, her hands still trembling. "I need to show you something," Soren said quietly. Makina looked up at him. "I don't know if I can handle more." "I know," he said, "but you deserve the truth." He led her into a private study, lined with books, a large desk, and a screen on the wall. Soren picked up a remote. "This footage has been hidden for years," he said. "I only found it recently." Makina's chest tightened. "What is it?" "The night my father died." He pressed play. The screen flickered to life. Black and white security footage. A parking garage. Rain pouring down outside the open entrance. Two men standing face to face. Makina leaned forward. One of them was the man from the photograph. Soren's father. The other, her breath stopped. Kellen. He looked younger. But it was him. No question. They were arguing. Voices muted by the poor audio quality. but their body language said everything. Anger, accusations, threats. Then Kellen pulled something from his jacket. Makina's stomach dropped. A gun. Soren's father raised his hands, stepped back. Kellen shouted something, then the footage glitched. Static. Distortion. When it cleared, Soren's father was on the ground, and Kellen was running. But that's not what made Makina's heart stop. In the corner of the frame, in the distortion, a small figure, a child, hiding behind a car, watching. Makina's hand flew to her mouth. "That's me," she whispered. Soren nodded. "You were the only witness." Makina's eyes filled with tears. "I saw him kill your father." "Yes." Her whole body trembled. "Why was I there?" Soren paused the footage, turned to her. "Because my mother brought you." Makina frowned. "Why?" Soren's voice softened. "Because your mother worked for my family, and that night she asked my mother for help." Makina's breath caught. "My mother?" Soren nodded. "She was trying to protect you. From someone dangerous." Makina's mind raced. "Who?" "I don't know," Soren admitted. "But my mother agreed to help. She brought you both to meet my father, somewhere safe." His jaw tightened. "But Kellen found out." Makina's chest ached. "What happened to my mother?" Soren's eyes darkened. "She died that night too." The words hit like a bullet. Makina doubled over. A sob tore from her throat. All her life, she'd been told she had no one, that she was alone, that no one wanted her. But the truth was worse. Someone had died trying to save her. Two people had, and she'd forgotten. Soren knelt in front of her. "My mother saw what happened," he said quietly. "She grabbed you, told you to run." Makina's tears came harder. "I remember her voice," she whispered. "She got you out," Soren continued. "But Kellen's men found her." His voice cracked. "She didn't make it." Makina covered her face with both hands. Grief poured out of her. Years of it. Buried, suppressed, forgotten. But now it was awake. And it hurt. Soren stayed close. Didn't touch her. Just stayed. When Makina finally looked up, her eyes were red. Her voice broken. "How did I survive?" "My mother's driver got you to a hospital," Soren said. "But by the time I found out, you were already in the system." New name. New records. Makina's throat burned. "Kellen did that." "Yes." "He made me forget." "Yes." Her hands curled into fists. "He took everything from me." Soren's voice was steady, final. "And now we take it back." Makina looked at him. "How?" "You testify. You tell the truth." Fear flickered across her face. "He'll kill me." "Not if I'm there." Makina shook her head. "You can't promise that." "I can try." She studied his face. "Why are you doing this?" Soren's voice softened. "Because someone once died protecting you." "I won't waste that." Makina's chest tightened. She thought about the woman who screamed for her to run. The woman who gave her life so Makina could live. And she realized something. Staying silent wasn't just hiding. It was letting that sacrifice mean nothing. Think about it. How many people stay quiet because they're scared? How many witnesses disappear because no one protects them? Sometimes the only thing standing between truth and lies is one person willing to speak. Makina wiped her eyes. "What do we do?" Soren stood. "We gather evidence, we build a case, and we make sure Kellen can't run." Makina nodded slowly. "Okay." Soren's eyes met hers. "You're sure?" She took a shaky breath. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Soren's expression softened. For the first time, something like respect crossed his face. He turned back to the screen. "There's one more thing you need to know." Makina's stomach dropped. "What?" Soren's jaw clenched. "Kellen knows you're alive." The room went cold. "How?" "Because tonight," Soren said quietly, "he made a call." Makina's pulse raced. "To who?" Soren looked at her, his eyes dark, dangerous. "To the same people who made you disappear the first time." Makina's voice shook. "Your brother did this." It wasn't a question anymore. It was a fact. Soren didn't deny it. Yes. McKenna stood slowly. Her legs felt weak, but something inside her had changed. The fear was still there. But so was something else. Anger. He killed your father. My mother. Your mother. Her voice got stronger with each word. He erased my past. Made me think I was nobody. Soren watched her carefully. And he thought the witness was dead, Soren said. You. McKenna's hands clenched into fists. So I'm not safe. Soren's jaw tightened. You are, because I won't let him rewrite the past again. McKenna turned to face him fully. You chose me to destroy him. Soren held her gaze. No. McKenna frowned. Then why? Soren stepped closer. I chose you to survive. The words hung between them. McKenna searched his face. What's the difference? Destroying him is revenge, Soren said quietly. Helping you survive is justice. McKenna's throat tightened. No one had ever fought for her before. Not once. What happens next? She asked. Soren's voice was steady. He'll try to silence you. And you? I'll stand between you and him. McKenna's chest ached. Why would you risk everything for me? Soren answered, without hesitation. Because someone once died protecting you. I won't waste that. McKenna felt tears sting her eyes again, but this time they weren't just from grief. They were from something else. Hope. She took a shaky breath. I spent my whole life hiding, she said quietly. Being small. Being quiet. Being nothing. Soren waited. I won't do it anymore, McKenna said. Her voice was firm now. I won't hide. Soren's expression shifted. Something like pride crossed his face. Good. McKenna straightened her shoulders. What do you need from me? Your testimony. Your truth. She nodded. You'll have it. Soren stepped closer. This won't be easy, he warned. Kellen has power. Money. People who owe him. I know. He'll come after you. I know. And if you change your mind, I won't. Soren studied her face. Then he held out his hand. Not to control her. Not to own her, but as an equal. McKenna looked at his hand, then placed hers in it. Their fingers closed together. Firm, steady. Not love. Not yet. But trust. And right now, trust was enough. Soren's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. His expression darkened. What? McKenna asked. Soren showed her the screen. A message from an unknown number. Just 3 words. She's still alive. McKenna's blood ran cold. Kellen. Soren nodded. He knows. McKenna's pulse raced. What do we do? Soren's jaw clenched. We move faster than he does. He made a call. Quick. Urgent. I need security at the house. Now. He hung up, turned back to McKenna. Stay close to me. McKenna nodded, but her mind was racing. Kellen knew she was alive, which meant he knew she remembered, which meant he would do anything to stop her. She thought about the little girl hiding behind a car, the one who saw everything, the one who was supposed to disappear, and she realized something. She'd spent years being invisible because she was told to. But now she was invisible by choice, and that made her dangerous. I'm ready, she said. Soren looked at her. You sure? McKenna's voice didn't waver. He took my family, my past, my name. She met his eyes. I'm taking it back. Soren's expression hardened. Then let's finish this. They spent the next hour preparing. Soren called lawyers, security teams, people he trusted. McKenna sat quietly, listening, learning. She wasn't just a witness anymore. She was part of this. Then Soren's phone rang again. He answered. His face went pale. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. He hung up, turned to McKenna. Kellen just hired a team. McKenna's stomach dropped. A team for what? Soren's voice was grim. To find you. Fear flickered through her. but she pushed it down. Let him try. Soren's eyes met hers. You're not scared. McKenna's voice was quiet, but steady. I'm terrified, but I'm done running. Soren nodded slowly. Then his phone buzzed again. A notification. A news alert. He opened it, and his face went white. What? McKenna asked. Soren turned the screen toward her. AE. Headline. Billionaire Kellen Vale announces reward for missing person. Beneath it, a photo. A young girl, maybe 12 years old. McKenna's breath stopped, because she recognized the face. It was hers, from years ago, before she disappeared, before she forgot. The caption read, "Family searching for long-lost relative. Reward offered for information." McKenna's hands shook. He's calling me family? Soren's voice was cold. He's calling you missing. McKenna's mind raced. Why? Because if he finds you first, Soren said quietly, he controls the story. McKenna's chest tightened. What do we do? Soren's jaw clenched. We go public before he does. McKenna swallowed hard. You mean, yes. Soren's eyes were dark, determined. We tell the truth. Now. McKenna's heart slammed against her ribs. This was it. No going back. She took a deep breath. Okay. Soren made another call. I need a press conference. Today. He hung up. Looked at McKenna. Are you ready? McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. No. Soren's expression softened. Neither am I. They stood there for a moment. Two people against a man with everything. But they weren't alone. They had each other. And they had the truth. Then the doorbell rang. Once. Twice. Soren and McKenna froze. Who is that? McKenna whispered. Soren's hand moved to his phone. I don't know. He pulled up the security camera feed, and his face went pale. What? McKenna asked. Soren didn't answer. He just showed her the screen. Standing at the door, smiling, was Kellen. Kellen stood at the door, smiling, like he'd just stopped by for tea. McKenna's heart slammed against her ribs. Don't open it, she whispered. Soren's jaw clenched. I won't. But Kellen wasn't alone. Two men stood behind him, suits, sunglasses, hands folded in front of them, professional, dangerous. Soren's phone rang. He looked at the screen. Kellen's name flashed across it. Soren answered without greeting. Kellen's voice slid through the speaker. Smooth. Calm. Brother. Soren's voice was ice. Leave. A chuckle. I just want to talk. We have nothing to say. I think we do. Silence. Then Kellen's voice dropped. You've taken something from me. Soren's eyes never left the security feed. You gave her up. Did I? The question hung in the air. McKenna felt cold crawl up her spine. Kellen continued. Careful, brother. Some prices are paid in blood. Soren's hand tightened around the phone. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. About what? Kellen's voice softened, almost kind. You think you're protecting her? Soren's eyes flicked to McKenna. Yes. A pause. Then Kellen spoke again. Quieter this time. Then you'd better protect her from herself. Soren frowned. What does that mean? But the line went dead. Soren lowered the phone slowly. McKenna stepped closer. What did he mean? Soren's jaw was tight. He knows. Knows what? Soren turned to her. That you're remembering. McKenna's stomach dropped. Outside, Kellen turned away from the door. But he didn't leave. He walked to his car, leaned against it, and waited, like he had all the time in the world. Soren made a call. I need backup at my location, now. He hung up, turned to McKenna. Stay away from the windows. McKenna nodded, but her mind was racing. Kellen wasn't here to hurt her, not yet. He was here to remind her that he could. Any time. She thought about all the years she'd spent invisible, silent, small, and she realized something. Silence was what Kellen wanted. Silence meant no witnesses, no truth, no justice. How many people stay quiet because they're scared? How many stories get buried because someone powerful said they should? Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is let fear win. McKenna's hands curled into fists. She wasn't going to be quiet anymore. An hour passed. Kellen didn't move, just stood there, watching the house. Soren's security team arrived. Black SUVs, armed men. They surrounded the property, but Kellen didn't flinch. He just smiled, waved once, and got in his car. Drove away slowly, like this was all a game. Soren exhaled, but his shoulders stayed tense. "He's not done," Soren said. McKenna knew he was right. That night she couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching the driveway, waiting for something. She didn't know what. Then she heard it. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. Outside the house, McKenna's breath caught. She stood slowly, pressed herself against the wall. The footsteps got closer, then stopped. Right outside her window, McKenna's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. She didn't move, didn't breathe. Then a shadow passed by the window, tall, broad, gone as quickly as it appeared. McKenna's hands shook. She ran to Soren's room, knocked urgently. The door opened immediately. Soren stood there, alert, ready. "What happened?" "Someone was outside," McKenna whispered. Soren's expression darkened. He pulled her inside, locked the door. "Stay here. Don't leave me." Soren's voice softened. "I won't." He pulled up the security cameras on his phone, scrolled through the footage, then froze. "What?" McKenna asked. Soren didn't answer. He just rewound the footage, showed her. A man, walking slowly around the property, stopping at her window, looking up, then walking away. McKenna's blood ran cold. "Who is that?" Soren's jaw clenched. "One of Kellen's men." McKenna's voice shook. "What was he doing?" Soren's eyes were dark. "Sending a message." McKenna hugged herself. "What message?" Soren looked at her. "That nowhere is safe." McKenna's chest tightened. "So what do we do?" Soren's voice was steady. Final. "We go on the offensive." McKenna frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means we stop waiting for him to make the first move." Soren's eyes hardened. "We expose him. Now." McKenna swallowed hard. "How?" "The press conference. Tomorrow." Fear flickered through her. "That's too soon." "It has to be." McKenna shook her head. "I'm not ready." Soren stepped closer. "You'll never be ready. But you're strong enough." McKenna's eyes burned. "What if I mess up? What if I forget something? Then we figure it out together." McKenna searched his face. "You really believe that?" "Yes." She took a shaky breath. "Okay." Soren's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it. His face went pale. "What now?" McKenna whispered. Soren turned the screen toward her. A text message from an unknown number. Just a photo. McKenna's breath stopped because she recognized what she was looking at. A grave with her mother's name on it, and beneath the photo, one sentence. "Some secrets should stay buried." McKenna's knees buckled. Soren caught her. "He's threatening my mother's grave," she whispered. Soren's voice was cold. "Dangerous." "He's desperate." McKenna looked up at him. "What if he destroys the evidence?" "He can't." "How do you know?" "Because I already made copies." McKenna exhaled slowly. "You planned for this?" "Yes." She studied his face. "How long have you been planning this?" Soren's voice was quiet. "Since the day I found out you were alive." McKenna's chest ached. "Why?" "Because my mother died protecting you, and I won't let her death mean nothing." Tears slid down McKenna's cheeks. "Thank you." Soren's expression softened. "Don't thank me yet." They sat in silence for a moment. Then McKenna heard it again. Footsteps. Closer this time. Soren heard it too. He stood, moved to the window, pulled back the curtain slightly. His face went rigid. "What?" McKenna whispered. Soren's voice was barely audible. "There's someone outside." McKenna's heart stopped. "Kellen?" "No." "Then who?" Soren's jaw clenched. "I don't know." They watched the shadow move across the yard, slow, deliberate, headed straight for the house. McKenna grabbed Soren's arm. "What do we do?" Before Soren could answer, the lights went out. The entire house plunged into darkness. McKenna gasped. Soren pulled her close. "Stay with me." Then they heard it, the sound of glass breaking. Downstairs. Someone was inside. McKenna heard them before she saw them. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. Outside the house, it was morning. The power had come back on an hour ago. Soren's security team had swept the property, found nothing. Whoever broke in had left no trace. But McKenna couldn't shake the feeling. Someone was watching. She stood by the window, coffee cup in hand, watching the tree line, waiting. Then she saw movement. A figure emerged from between the trees, walking slowly toward the house, not running, not hiding, just walking, like they belonged there. McKenna's pulse quickened. Soren. He was beside her in seconds. His jaw tightened when he saw the figure. "Stay inside," he said. Soren moved to the door. His men flanked him. McKenna watched from the window. The figure got closer. A man, mid-40s, suit, briefcase, too calm, too confident. Soren stepped outside. The man stopped a few feet away, smiled. "Good morning." Soren didn't return the smile. "Who are you?" "A messenger." "From?" The man's smile widened. "I think you know." Soren's hands clenched into fists. "State your business." The man reached into his briefcase slowly, deliberately, pulled out a white envelope. "A message," he said. "From your brother." Soren didn't take it. "Say it." The man hesitated, then spoke. "He says memories can be dangerous, especially false ones." McKenna's stomach dropped. False ones. Kellen was planting doubt. The man held out the envelope. "He asked me to deliver this personally." Soren's voice was ice. "Get off my property." The man's smile didn't falter. "He also says the past never stays buried." Soren stepped forward. "Leave. Now." The man placed the envelope on the ground. "Have a good day, Mr. Vale." He turned and walked away, slowly, like he had all the time in the world. Soren watched until the man disappeared into the trees. Then he picked up the envelope, came back inside. McKenna met him in the hallway. "What is it?" Soren stared at the envelope. "I don't know." He handed it to her. McKenna's hands shook as she took it. The envelope was thick, heavy. Her name was written on the front, in elegant handwriting, not typed, handwritten, like someone had taken time with it. McKenna's chest tightened. "Should I open it?" Soren's voice was careful. "It's your choice." McKenna stared at her name. Part of her wanted to throw it away, to burn it, to pretend it didn't exist, but another part of her needed to know. What was Kellen trying to say? She sat down at the kitchen table. Soren sat across from her. McKenna slid her finger under the seal. The envelope opened easily, too easily, like it wanted to be read. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded, once. McKenna unfolded it slowly. Her breath caught. The message wasn't long. It didn't need to be. "You remember wrong. You always have. And if you keep digging, people get hurt." No signature. But McKenna knew who it was from. Her hands trembled. Soren leaned forward. "What does it say?" McKenna slid the paper across the table. Soren read it, his jaw clenched. "He's lying." McKenna nodded. "I know." But doubt crept in anyway. What if she did remember wrong? What if her mind had filled in gaps that weren't real? What if she was accusing an innocent man? No. She shook her head. She'd seen the footage. She'd heard her mother's voice in her dreams. She knew the truth. But Kellen was good at this, planting seeds of doubt, making her question herself. McKenna looked up at Soren. What if he's right? Soren's voice was firm. He's not. How do you know? Because I've seen the evidence. I know what happened. McKenna's throat burned. But what if my memory is wrong? Soren reached across the table, took her hand. Then we rely on the facts, not just memory. McKenna exhaled slowly. Okay. But that night, she couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The letter kept playing in her mind. You remember wrong. What if she did? What if everything she thought she knew was a lie? She closed her eyes, tried to push the thoughts away, but they kept coming back. Then she heard it. A woman's voice, soft, urgent. Hide. McKenna's eyes snapped open. Her heart raced. The voice was so clear, so real, like someone was standing right next to her. She sat up, looked around the dark room, empty, but the voice echoed in her mind. Hide. McKenna pressed her hands against her face. Stop, she whispered, but the memories kept coming. Rain, screaming, running, a woman pushing her behind a car. Stay here, don't move. Then a bang, loud, sharp, the woman falling, blood pooling on the concrete. McKenna gasped, her whole body shook. It wasn't wrong, it was real. She knew it was real. She got out of bed, walked to Soren's room, knocked softly. The door opened immediately. Soren stood there, alert. What's wrong? McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. I remembered something else. Soren stepped aside. Let her in. They sat on the edge of his bed. McKenna told him everything. The voice, the rain, the woman falling. Soren listened without interrupting. When she finished, his voice was quiet. That was my mother. McKenna's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry. Don't be. Soren's jaw tightened. She chose to protect you. That was her decision. McKenna wiped her eyes. Kellen's trying to make me doubt. I know. What if it works? Soren looked at her. It won't. How do you know? Because you're stronger than he thinks. McKenna's chest ached. She wanted to believe him, but fear still lingered. The next morning, another envelope appeared. On the doorstep. No messenger this time. Just the envelope. Sitting there, like it had always been there. McKenna stared at it from the window. There's another one, she said quietly. Soren came to look. His expression darkened. Don't touch it. He called his security team. They examined it carefully. No explosives, no powder. Nothing dangerous. Just paper. Soren brought it inside. McKenna watched as he opened it. This time there was no letter, just a photograph. Soren's face went pale. What is it? McKenna asked. Soren turned the photo toward her, and McKenna's world tilted, because the photo showed her, as a child, standing next to a woman, smiling. And the woman wasn't Soren's mother. It was someone else, someone McKenna didn't recognize. But written on the back of the photo in red ink were 4 words. This is your mother. McKenna stared at the photograph. Her hands shook so hard she almost dropped it. That's not possible, she whispered. Soren took the photo, studied it carefully. It could be fake. McKenna's voice cracked. What if it's not? Soren flipped the photo over, read the message again. This is your mother. His jaw clenched. Kellen's playing games. McKenna pressed her hands against her face. What if I've been wrong this whole time? You haven't. How do you know? Soren's voice was firm. Because I saw the footage. I know what happened. McKenna looked up at him. But what if my memory mixed things up? What if the woman I remember wasn't your mother? Soren hesitated, and that hesitation was enough. McKenna's chest tightened. You don't know for sure. I know enough. That's not the same thing. Soren set the photo down. We'll verify it. Run tests, compare records. McKenna nodded slowly, but the doubt had already taken root. That night, she couldn't sleep again. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the woman in the photograph, smiling, standing beside a younger version of herself. Who was she? And why didn't McKenna remember her? She got out of bed, walked to the window, pulled back the curtain. The street was quiet, empty, except for one car, parked under a streetlight, dark, engine off. McKenna frowned. She'd seen that car before, yesterday, and the day before that, always in the same spot, always empty, or so it seemed. She squinted, tried to see inside, but the windows were tinted too dark. McKenna's pulse quickened. Someone was watching. She let the curtain fall, stepped back. Her mind raced. Was it Kellen's people or someone else? She didn't know, but the car was there, every night, waiting. The next morning, McKenna told Soren about the car. He checked the security footage. "It's been there for 3 nights," he said quietly. McKenna's stomach dropped. "Who is it?" "I don't know, but I'll find out." Soren made calls. His team investigated, but the car was registered to a fake name. A dead end. McKenna felt the walls closing in. Kellen was everywhere, in her memories, in her doubts, in the shadows outside. She couldn't escape him. That afternoon, Soren brought her to his study. "I want to show you something," he said. He pulled out a file. Old, worn. "This is everything I have on that night." McKenna's chest tightened. "Why now?" "Because you need to see it. All of it." He opened the file. Inside were documents, photos, reports. McKenna flipped through them slowly. Police reports, witness statements, autopsy records. Her stomach turned. Then she found it. A photo of the woman who died that night. Soren's mother. McKenna stared at her face, and something clicked. "I remember her," McKenna whispered. Soren leaned forward. "You do?" McKenna nodded slowly. "She told me to hide. She pushed me behind a car." Her voice shook. "She saved me." Soren's eyes darkened. "Yes, she did." McKenna looked up at him. "Then who's the woman in the photograph?" Soren's jaw clenched. "I don't know, but we'll find out." McKenna closed the file. "Kellen's trying to confuse me." "Yes." "He wants me to doubt everything." "Yes." McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. "What if it works?" Soren reached across the desk, took her hand. "It won't." "How do you know?" "Because I won't let it." McKenna's throat burned. "What if I'm wrong about everything?" Soren's grip tightened. "Then we find the truth together." McKenna searched his face. "You really mean that?" "Yes." She exhaled slowly. "Okay." But that night, the nightmares came back. Worse than before. McKenna dreamed of rain, of screaming, of a woman's voice. "Hide." But this time, the woman's face was blurred. McKenna couldn't see who it was. She woke up gasping. Sweat soaked through her shirt. Her heart raced. She got out of bed, walked to the window, pulled back the curtain. The car was still there, under the streetlight, waiting. McKenna's hands shook. She couldn't do this anymore. The doubt, the fear, the not knowing. She needed answers. Real answers. She grabbed her phone, hesitated, then made a decision. She was going to find out who was in that car. Tonight. She got dressed quietly, slipped out of her room. The house was dark, silent. McKenna moved through the hallway, down the stairs, to the front door. She unlocked it slowly, stepped outside. The night air was cold. McKenna wrapped her arms around herself, walked down the driveway, toward the street, toward the car. Her heart pounded with every step. What if it was Kellen's men? What if they grabbed her? What if this was a trap? But she had to know. She couldn't live like this anymore. McKenna reached the sidewalk. The car was 50 feet away. She took another step, then another. The car's engine suddenly roared to life. Makina froze. Headlights flashed on. Blinding. She raised her hand to shield her eyes. The car door opened. A figure stepped out. Tall, shadowed, walking toward her. Makina's breath caught. She wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The figure got closer, closer, then stepped into the light, and Makina's world shattered, because the person standing in front of her wasn't one of Kellen's men. It was a woman, mid-40s, with kind eyes and a face Makina recognized. From the photograph, the woman smiled softly. "Hello, Makina." Makina's voice was barely a whisper. "Who are you?" The woman's smile didn't falter. "I'm your mother." Makina staggered back. "That's impossible." The woman stepped closer, hands raised, non-threatening. "I know this is a shock. My mother is dead." The woman's face fell. "That's what they wanted you to believe?" Makina's mind raced. This couldn't be real. This woman couldn't be her mother. Her mother died that night, didn't she? "Who are you really?" Makina demanded. The woman reached into her pocket slowly, pulled out an ID. "My name is Leora Chen. I'm with Witness Protection." Makina frowned. "Witness Protection?" "Yes." Leora stepped into the light fully. "I've been watching you. Protecting you." Makina's chest tightened. "From who?" "From Kellen Vale." The name sent ice through her veins. "Why would you?" "Because you're a witness." "The only witness." Makina shook her head. "I don't understand." Leora's voice softened. "Can we talk inside?" Makina hesitated. Then footsteps behind her made her turn. Soren stood in the doorway, fully alert. "Who is this?" he called out. Leora raised her ID. "Federal agent, Witness Protection." Soren's eyes narrowed, but he stepped aside. "Come in." They sat in the living room, Makina across from Leora, Soren standing, watching. Leora set a folder on the coffee table. "I've been assigned to your case for the past 6 months." Makina's voice shook. "What case?" "The Arthur Vale murder." Soren stiffened. Leora continued. "We've been building evidence, testimonies, records." She opened the folder. Inside were documents, photos, statements. Makina's life laid out like a timeline. Foster homes, schools, jobs, all of it tracked, all of it documented. "You've been watching me," Makina whispered, "protecting you." "Without telling me?" Leora's expression was steady. "You weren't ready. Your memories were suppressed." Makina's hands clenched. "By who?" "Medical intervention. Trauma therapy. Likely ordered by Kellen." Soren's jaw tightened. "He erased her past." "Yes." Makina stared at the folder, her whole life reduced to evidence. "Why now?" she asked quietly. Leora leaned forward. "Because you're remembering, and Kellen knows it." Makina's stomach dropped. "So he's coming for me?" "Yes." The room fell silent. Makina's mind raced. Everything was real. The memories, the fear, the danger. All of it. "What do you need from me?" Makina asked. Leora's voice was calm, professional. "Your testimony. Officially." Makina swallowed hard. "And then what?" "We build a case. We take him to trial. And if I say no?" Leora's eyes softened. "Then Kellen stays free. And you stay in danger." Makina looked at Soren. He nodded once. "It's your choice." Makina turned back to Leora. "If I do this, if I testify, can you protect me?" "Yes." "Can you promise that?" Leora hesitated, and that hesitation told Makina everything. "You can't," Makina whispered. "I can try." Makina's chest ached. "That's not good enough." Leora's voice was firm. "It's all I have." Makina stood, walked to the window, looked out at the street. The car was still there, a permanent fixture now, a reminder that she was never truly safe. Think about it. How many witnesses stay silent because no one protects them? How many people see terrible things and say nothing because they're scared? Sometimes the only thing standing between justice and silence is someone willing to take the risk. McKenna turned back. If I do this, I can't go back. Leora nodded. No, you can't. McKenna's voice was steady now. Then I'm in. Soren exhaled slowly. Leora stood. We'll need to move quickly. Kellen's making moves. What kind of moves? Soren asked. Leora's expression darkened. He's hired people, lawyers, investigators. She paused. And cleaners. McKenna's blood ran cold. Cleaners? People who make problems disappear. Soren's fists clenched. How many? We don't know yet. McKenna's pulse raced. So I'm a target. Yes. Leora reached into her bag, pulled out a phone. Take this. It's secure. Only I have the number. McKenna took it slowly. What if something happens? Call me. Immediately. Leora stood to leave, but before she reached the door, she turned back. There's one more thing. McKenna's stomach dropped. What? The photograph. The one Kellen sent you. McKenna's chest tightened. What about it? The woman in it. We ran her photo through our database. Soren stepped forward. And? Leora's voice was careful. She's real. Her name was Elena Ross. McKenna frowned. Was? She died 10 years ago. McKenna's breath caught. How? Leora's eyes darkened. Car accident. Ruled as accidental. Soren's jaw clenched. But it wasn't. We're investigating. McKenna's voice shook. Who was she? Leora hesitated. Your mother. The words hit like a punch. McKenna's knees buckled. Soren caught her. That's impossible, McKenna whispered. I know it's hard to understand. My mother died that night. With your mother. Leora shook her head slowly. That woman wasn't your mother. She was Soren's mother. McKenna's mind spun. Then who was she to me? Leora's voice softened. We think she was trying to protect you. Like a guardian. McKenna pressed her hands against her face. I don't understand. We're still piecing it together. Soren's voice was tight. Where's Elena Ross buried? Leora pulled out a piece of paper. Wrote down an address. Here. McKenna took it with shaking hands. Leora moved toward the door again. I'll be in touch. Stay safe. She left. The house fell silent. McKenna stared at the address. I need to go there, she said quietly. Soren nodded. I'll come with you. The next morning they drove to the cemetery. It was quiet, peaceful. Rows of headstones stretched out under gray skies. McKenna walked slowly, following the map Leora gave her. Then she found it. A simple headstone. Elena Ross, beloved mother. McKenna's chest tightened. She knelt down, touched the cold stone. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? Soren asked quietly. For not remembering you. Tears slid down her cheeks. She sat there for a long time, just her and the grave. Then she heard footsteps behind her. McKenna turned. A man stood a few feet away, watching. He was tall, mid-30s, dark coat, and his face. McKenna's breath stopped. I've seen him before. Soren stepped in front of her. Who are you? The man didn't answer, just stared at McKenna, like he recognized her. Then he smiled, cold, empty, and walked away. McKenna grabbed Soren's arm. That's him. Who? The man from my dreams. Her voice shook. The one who was there that night. McKenna's breath came in short gasps. I've seen him before. Soren's eyes tracked the man walking away. Where? In my dreams. That night. Her voice shook. He was there. Soren's jaw clenched. He pulled out his phone, snapped a photo of the man's back, sent it to Leora. Seconds later, his phone rang. That's Marcus Reed, Leora said urgently. He's one of Kellen's cleaners. Soren's voice was ice. What's he doing here? Sending a message. He wants McKenna to know she's being watched. McKenna's hands trembled. What does he do? Leora's voice was grim. He makes problems disappear. McKenna's stomach turned. People? Yes. Soren hung up, grabbed McKenna's hand. We're leaving, now. They drove back in silence. McKenna stared out the window, her mind racing. Marcus Reed. The name felt wrong in her mouth, but the face was right. She'd seen him before, that night, standing in the rain, watching. Back at the house, McKenna couldn't sit still. She paced the living room. Soren watched her carefully. Tell me what you remember, he said quietly. McKenna stopped, closed her eyes. Rain. Heavy rain. Her voice was distant. Two men arguing. Your father and Kellen. She paused. Then another man. Standing back, watching. Marcus Reed. Yes. McKenna opened her eyes. He didn't try to stop it. He just watched. Soren's fists clenched. He was the witness. Kellen's witness. McKenna nodded slowly. But there's something else. What? McKenna frowned. I remember something on his hand. What? A ring. Soren leaned forward. What kind of ring? McKenna's eyes unfocused, trying to see it clearly. Gold. Thick band. With a deep scratch across it. Soren went completely still. A scratch? Yes. Like someone tried to pull it off. Soren's face went pale. That ring belonged to my father. McKenna's breath stopped. What? My father always wore it. It was scratched in a fight years ago. His voice was tight. After he died, the ring disappeared. McKenna's mind raced. Kellen took it and gave it to Marcus Reed. Why? Soren's jaw clenched. Proof of loyalty or a trophy. McKenna's chest ached. So, if we find the ring, we prove Marcus was there and that Kellen kept evidence. McKenna sat down slowly. That's the missing piece. Yes, she looked up at Soren. How do we find it? We make him show us. McKenna frowned. How? Soren's eyes darkened. We set a trap. That evening, McKenna sat at the kitchen table, a sketchbook open in front of her. She hadn't drawn in years, but Soren suggested it might help her remember details. So she drew, slowly at first, then faster. Her hand moved across the page. A man. Tall. Dark coat. And on his hand, a ring. She drew it carefully. The thick band. The deep scratch. When she finished, she stared at it. That's it, she whispered. Soren looked over her shoulder. Are you sure? Yes. He took a photo of the drawing. Sent it to Leora. Minutes later, she called back. That matches the description of Arthur Vale's ring. If we can prove Marcus Reed has it, then we have physical evidence, Soren finished. Exactly. McKenna's heart raced. What do we do? Leora's voice was firm. We need to get close to him, see if he still wears it. Soren's jaw tightened. That's dangerous. I know, but it's the only way. They hung up. McKenna looked at Soren. We have to do this. I know. When? Soon. That night, McKenna couldn't sleep again. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The ring kept playing in her mind. Gold, scratched, real, proof. Then she heard something. A sound downstairs. Faint, almost nothing. But there. McKenna sat up slowly, listened. There it was again. A creak. Like someone stepping on old wood. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She got out of bed, moved to the door, opened it quietly. The hallway was dark, silent. McKenna stepped out, walked toward the stairs. Another creak, closer this time. She froze. Soren? She whispered. No answer. McKenna's pulse raced. She moved down the hall, toward Soren's room. Knocked softly. No answer. She opened the door, empty. Panic flooded through her. Soren? Nothing. McKenna turned, ran back toward her room. Then she heard it. Glass shattering. Downstairs. McKenna's breath caught. Someone was inside. She grabbed her phone, dialed Soren. It rang, and rang, then went to voicemail. Soren, someone's in the house. Where are you? She hung up. Dialed Leora. The phone rang once. Then the house alarm blared, loud, piercing. impossible to ignore. Red lights flashed. McKenna covered her ears. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. Fast, heavy. McKenna ran into her room, slammed the door, locked it. Her hands shook as she backed away. The footsteps stopped, right outside her door. McKenna's heart hammered. She looked around desperately. Window, too high. Closet, too obvious. She was trapped. The door handle turned, slowly, then stopped. A voice came through, low, calm. "I know you're in there." McKenna's blood ran cold. It wasn't Soren's voice. It was Marcus Reed. "Open the door," he said quietly. McKenna didn't move, didn't breathe. "I just want to talk." McKenna's voice shook. "Go away." A pause. Then Marcus spoke again. "You remember me, don't you?" McKenna's chest tightened. "I don't know you." "Yes, you do." Another pause. "You were there that night, hiding behind the car." McKenna's breath stopped. "I saw you," Marcus continued. "And you saw me." McKenna's legs felt weak. "You saw everything," he said softly, "including the ring." McKenna's hands shook. "I don't know what you're talking about." Marcus chuckled. "Yes, you do." Then his voice dropped. "And if you tell anyone—" The door exploded inward. Wood splintered. McKenna screamed. Marcus stepped inside. His eyes locked on hers, and on his hand. The ring. Gold. Scratched. Real. McKenna's breath came in gasps. "You're wearing it." Marcus looked down at his hand, smiled. "I always do." He stepped closer. "It reminds me." "Of what?" His smile widened. "Of what happens to people who see too much." McKenna backed against the wall. Then the alarm stopped. Sudden silence. Worse than the noise. Marcus tilted his head. "No one's coming." McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. "Soren is occupied." Fear flooded through her. "What did you do?" Marcus didn't answer, just reached into his jacket and pulled out a gun. A gunshot cracked through the air, but it didn't come from Marcus's gun. It came from behind him. Marcus spun around. Soren stood in the hallway, gun raised, eyes dark, deadly calm. "Get away from her," Marcus smiled. "Or what? Or I put a bullet in you." The two men stared at each other, tension thick enough to choke on. Then Marcus lowered his gun slowly. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is." Marcus backed toward the door. "You can't protect her forever. Watch me." Marcus disappeared into the hallway. Footsteps thundered down the stairs, then the sound of a door slamming. Soren rushed to McKenna. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, too shocked to speak. Soren pulled her into his arms. "I'm sorry. I should have been here." McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. "Where were you?" "Downstairs. They cut the power. I was checking the backup generator." He pulled back, looked her in the eyes. "This was coordinated." McKenna's stomach dropped. "They wanted me alone." "Yes." More glass shattered downstairs. Soren grabbed her hand. "We need to move. Now." They ran down the hallway. Voices shouted from below. Multiple people, not just Marcus. Soren pulled McKenna into his study, locked the door, pushed a bookshelf aside. A hidden door appeared in the wall. "Get in," he ordered. McKenna stared at the dark space behind it. "What is that?" "Safe room, soundproof, reinforced." He pushed her gently inside. "Stay here. Don't come out until I say. Don't leave me." Soren's eyes softened. "I'll come back. I promise." The door closed. Darkness swallowed her. McKenna pressed her hands against the door, listened. Muffled sounds, shouting, something heavy crashing. Then a gunshot. McKenna's breath stopped. "Soren," she whispered. No answer. Just silence. Thick, suffocating. McKenna sank to the floor. Her whole body shook. She was alone, in the dark, with no idea if Soren was alive. Minutes passed, or hours. She couldn't tell. Every second felt like forever. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Right outside the hidden door. McKenna held her breath. Please be Soren. Please. The door opened. Light flooded in. Soren stood there, breathing hard, but alive. McKenna collapsed into him. I thought, I'm fine. He helped her stand. They're gone. McKenna looked at him. Who were they? Kellen's men. 3 of them. What did they want? Soren's jaw clenched. Your sketchbook. McKenna's chest tightened. The drawing of the ring. Yes. Did they get it? Soren shook his head. I stopped them. McKenna exhaled slowly. They know. Yes. They know I remember. Soren nodded. And they know we have proof. McKenna's hands curled into fists. So they'll keep coming. Yes. She looked up at him. Until I'm dead. Soren's voice was firm. That's not going to happen. How do you know? Because I won't let it. McKenna pulled away from him, paced the room. Her mind raced. She'd spent her whole life hiding, being small, being quiet, being afraid. And where did it get her? Alone. Hunted. Trapped. No more. Think about it. How many times do we hide because we're scared? How many times do we let fear win because it feels safer than fighting back? But sometimes the only way out is through. McKenna stopped pacing, turned to Soren. I'm done. He frowned. Done with what? Hiding, running, being protected. Soren stepped forward. McKenna, no, listen. Her voice was steady now. I've spent my whole life being afraid, and it didn't keep me safe. Soren's jaw tightened. This is different. Is it? She met his eyes. They came into your house, your safe place, and they almost got me. Soren didn't argue. So what do you want to do? McKenna's voice didn't waver. I want to fight back. How? I want to go public, now. Soren hesitated. That's dangerous. So is hiding. If you go public, there's no taking it back. I know. Kellen will come after you with everything he has. Let him. Soren studied her face. You're sure? McKenna nodded. I'm terrified, but I'm sure. Soren's expression shifted. Something like pride crossed his face. Okay. He pulled out his phone, called Leora. We're ready. Set up the press conference. He hung up, turned to McKenna. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. McKenna's heart raced. That soon? Yes. She took a shaky breath. What do I say? The truth. McKenna nodded slowly. Okay. That night, she couldn't sleep. Again. She sat by the window, watching the street. The fear was still there, but so was something else. Determination. She wasn't going to let Kellen win, not anymore. The next morning came too fast. McKenna got dressed. Simple clothes, nothing fancy. She wanted to look real, human, not like someone playing a part. Soren knocked on her door. Ready? McKenna took a deep breath. No, but let's go anyway. They drove to a downtown office building, press already waiting outside, cameras, microphones, reporters. McKenna's hands shook. I can't do this. Soren took her hand. Yes, you can. What if I mess up? Then we fix it. What if they don't believe me? Then we show them proof. McKenna looked at him. What if Kellen kills me? Soren's grip tightened. He'll have to go through me first. McKenna's eyes burned. Thank you. For what? For believing me. Soren's voice was quiet. Always. They walked toward the building. Cameras flashed. Questions shouted. Ms. Ross, is it true you're accusing Kellen Vale of murder? Are you the missing witness? What proof do you have? McKenna kept walking, head up, eyes forward. They entered the building. Leora waited inside. The press room is ready. Are you? McKenna's voice was steady. Yes. Leora led them down a hallway, to a room filled with reporters. All eyes turned to McKenna. She felt the weight of their stares, but she didn't look away. Leora stepped to the podium. Thank you for coming. Today we're here to share testimony regarding the murder of Arthur Vale. The room buzzed. Leora gestured to McKenna. This is McKenna Ross, the only surviving witness. McKenna stepped forward. Her legs felt weak, but she didn't stop. She reached the podium, looked out at the sea of faces, and spoke. My name is McKenna Ross, and 15 years ago, I watched Kellen Vale murder his father. The room exploded, cameras flashed, voices shouted. But McKenna kept talking. I was 12 years old, hiding behind a car. I saw everything. Her voice didn't shake. And I'm done being silent. The questions came fast. Why are you coming forward now? What proof do you have? Where have you been all these years? McKenna answered each one. Calmly. Clearly. Then someone asked the question she'd been dreading. Are you afraid Kellen Vale will retaliate? McKenna paused. Yes. The room went quiet. But I'm more afraid of what happens if I stay silent. She looked directly at the camera. Some people think power means you can get away with anything, but it doesn't. Her voice was firm. Truth always finds a way. The press conference ended. McKenna stepped away from the podium. Her whole body trembled, but she'd done it. She'd spoken. Soren met her in the hallway. You were amazing. McKenna's voice shook. It's really happening. Yes. There's no going back. No. McKenna looked at him. What happens now? Soren's expression darkened. Now we wait for Kellen's response. They didn't have to wait long. Soren's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His face went pale. What? McKenna asked. Soren showed her. A news alert. Kellen Vale files defamation lawsuit against witness. Beneath it, another headline. Billionaire offers $5 million reward for evidence disproving accusations. McKenna's stomach dropped. He's turning this into a game. Yes. Then Soren's phone rang. Leora's voice was urgent. We have a problem. What? Kellen just posted bail for Marcus Reed. Soren's blood ran cold. When? 10 minutes ago. McKenna grabbed his arm. What does that mean? Soren's jaw clenched. It means he's free. McKenna's breath caught. And coming for me. Soren's voice was deadly calm. Yes. Marcus Reed was free. The words echoed in McKenna's mind like a death sentence. We need to move you, Leora said through the phone. Now. Soren's voice was tight. Where? Safe house, federal protection. McKenna grabbed the phone. No, Leora paused. McKenna, I'm not hiding anymore. This isn't about hiding, it's about staying alive. McKenna's jaw clenched. I just went public. If I disappear now, Kellen wins. Soren stepped closer. She's right. Leora's voice was firm. Then we increase security, but you can't stay at the house. Where do we go? McKenna asked. Hotel, downtown, high traffic, cameras everywhere. Soren nodded. We'll be there in an hour. They hung up. McKenna looked at Soren. This is really happening. Yes. I just accused one of the most powerful men in the city of murder. Yes, her voice dropped. And now he's coming for me. Soren took her hand. We knew this would happen. Knowing and living it are different. Soren's grip tightened. You're not alone. McKenna's throat burned. What if I'm not strong enough? You already are. They packed quickly. Clothes, documents, the sketchbook, everything that mattered. As they left, McKenna looked back at the house one last time. It had felt safe. For a little while. But safety was an illusion. The hotel was cold, corporate, impersonal. But it had security. Cameras. Guards. Locked floors. Leora met them in the lobby. You're on the 12th floor. 2 agents stationed outside your door. McKenna nodded. They rode the elevator in silence. The hallway was quiet. 2 men in suits stood by the door. Professional. Alert. Inside, the room was basic. 2 beds. A window overlooking the city. And a TV. Soren turned it on. News coverage of the press conference played on every channel. McKenna's face filled the screen. My name is McKenna Ross. And 15 years ago, I watched Kellen Vale murder his father. McKenna turned away. I can't watch this. Soren muted it, but the images kept playing. Her face, her words, over and over. The world knew now. There was no going back. That evening, Leora brought dinner. You need to eat. McKenna picked at her food. Her stomach was too tight to hold anything. The DA wants to meet with you. Tomorrow, Leora said. Why? To prep for trial. If this goes to court, you'll need to be ready. McKenna's hands shook. Trial. The word felt too big. Too real. Leora's voice softened. You don't have to do this. McKenna looked up sharply. What? If you want to walk away, we can arrange protection, witness relocation. New identity. McKenna's chest tightened. You mean disappear? Yes. McKenna shook her head. I already disappeared once. I'm not doing it again. Leora nodded slowly. Then we moved forward. After she left, McKenna stood by the window. The city stretched out below. Millions of people. Living their lives. Unaware. Unconcerned. While she was trapped in a hotel room. Waiting for a man who wanted her dead. What are you thinking? Soren asked quietly. McKenna didn't turn around. That I'm tired. Of what? Being afraid. Soren stepped beside her. You're the bravest person I know. McKenna's voice cracked. I don't feel brave. You don't have to feel it to be it. She looked at him. What if this doesn't work? What if Kellen gets away with it? Soren's voice was steady. Then we keep fighting. For how long? As long as it takes. McKenna's eyes burned. I don't know if I have that in me. Soren turned her to face him. You've survived 15 years of lies, of being told you were nobody, of being erased. His voice was firm. You're still here. That's strength. McKenna's tears fell silently. Soren wiped them away gently. You're not alone, he said again. And for the first time, McKenna believed him. That night, sleep didn't come. McKenna lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow felt like a threat. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her. Hello? Silence, then a voice. Cold, familiar. You made a mistake. Kellen. McKenna's blood ran cold. How did you get this number? I get everything I want. His voice was calm, too calm. You think going public protects you? McKenna's hand shook. It exposes you. Kellen laughed. No, it exposes you. What does that mean? It means everyone knows your face now. Everyone knows your name. McKenna's chest tightened. So you can't hide anymore. The line went dead. McKenna dropped the phone. Her whole body trembled. Soren sat up. What happened? Kellen called. Soren's face darkened. What did he say? McKenna's voice shook. That I can't hide anymore. Soren grabbed his phone, called Leora. Kellen just contacted McKenna. How? Her phone, Leora cursed. We'll trace it. But he probably used a burner. What do we do? Stay put. I'm sending more agents. Soren hung up, turned to McKenna. We're safe here. But McKenna didn't feel safe. She felt exposed, vulnerable, hunted. Minutes later, sirens wailed outside. McKenna ran to the window. Police cars, lots of them, surrounding the hotel, red and blue lights flashing. What's happening? She whispered. Soren's phone rang. Leora's voice was urgent. Get out, now. What? Someone called in a bomb threat. They're evacuating the building. Soren's jaw clenched. It's a trap. I know, but you have to move. McKenna's heart raced. Where do we go? My team is in the lobby. Get to them. Soren grabbed McKenna's hand. Let's go. They ran into the hallway. The agents outside were already moving. This way. They headed for the stairs. Alarms blared. People poured out of rooms, panicked, rushing. McKenna's pulse thundered. They reached the stairwell, started down, floor after floor, pushing through crowds. Then McKenna saw him. On the landing below, Marcus Reed, standing still, watching them, smiling. Soren, McKenna whispered. Soren saw him too. Keep moving. They pushed forward. Marcus didn't move, just watched. Then he spoke, loud enough to be heard over the chaos. See you soon, McKenna, and disappeared into the crowd. They reached the lobby. Leora was there. This way. She led them to a side exit, away from the main crowd. A black SUV waited. Engine running. They got in. The car pulled away fast. McKenna looked back. Police everywhere. News vans arriving. Cameras already rolling. They're going to say I caused this, she whispered. Leora's voice was firm. Let them. We know the truth. But McKenna's mind raced. Kellen was escalating, fast, and she didn't know how to stop him. The SUV drove for 20 minutes, then pulled into an underground garage. Where are we? McKenna asked. Federal building, safest place in the city. They got out, walked through concrete corridors, up an elevator into a secure floor. Leora led them to a conference room. Wait here. She left. McKenna and Soren sat in silence. Then the door opened. A man in a suit walked in. Mid-50s, confident, cold eyes. Ms. Ross, I'm District Attorney Marcus Chen. McKenna's stomach dropped. Another Marcus. We need to talk, he said. He sat down across from them. I've reviewed your statement, the evidence, the footage. McKenna held her breath. And? The DA's expression was unreadable. We're moving forward. Kellen Vale will be arrested within the hour. McKenna's chest exploded with relief. Really? Yes. Soren exhaled slowly, but the DA wasn't done. However, McKenna's relief vanished. What? Kellen's lawyers just filed an emergency injunction. What does that mean? The DA's jaw tightened. It means they're trying to stop the arrest. McKenna's voice rose. Can they do that? They can try. And if they succeed... The DA's eyes darkened. Then Kellen stays free. McKenna's world tilted. For how long? Until the hearing. 3 days. Soren's fists clenched. 3 days. The DA stood. I'll do everything I can, but you need to be prepared. For what? For the possibility that justice takes time. He left. McKenna sat in stunned silence. 3 more days. 3 more days of Kellen being free. 3 more days of being hunted. Soren's phone buzzed. He looked at it. His face went white. What? McKenna whispered. Soren showed her. The screen. A news alert. Breaking. Police lights surround Kellen Vale's penthouse. McKenna's breath stopped. They're arresting him. Now. They turned on the TV, live footage. Kellen's building. Police cars everywhere. Cameras rolling. Then the door opened, and Kellen walked out, hands behind his back, in handcuffs. McKenna's tears fell. It's over. But Soren's expression stayed dark. Not yet. On screen, Kellen looked directly at the camera and smiled. The lights weren't for McKenna. They were for Kellen. McKenna watched the screen, unable to breathe, unable to look away. Kellen walked out in handcuffs, calm, composed, like this was all part of his plan. Police guided him toward a car. Cameras flashed everywhere. Reporters shouted questions. Mr. Vale, did you kill your father? Are the accusations true? Do you have a statement? Kellen stopped, turned toward the cameras, and smiled, not nervous, not angry, confident, like he'd already won. Then they put him in the car, drove, away. Makina's knees gave out. Soren caught her. "It's happening," she whispered. "Yes. He's really arrested." "Yes." Makina's tears came hard. Years of pain, years of fear, pouring out all at once. Soren held her, didn't say anything, just held her. When she finally pulled back, her voice was raw. "Is it over?" Soren's expression was careful. "The arrest is just the beginning." Makina wiped her eyes. "What happens now?" "Processing, arraignment, bail hearing." "Will he stay in jail?" Soren hesitated. "I don't know." That night, Makina couldn't celebrate. The arrest should have felt like victory, but it didn't. It felt fragile, like something that could break at any moment. She sat with Soren in the hotel room, neither of them speaking, just existing in the same space. Finally, Makina broke the silence. "Thank you." Soren looked at her. "For what?" "For believing me, when no one else did." Soren's voice was quiet. "You didn't need me to believe you. You knew the truth." But it helped. Having someone on my side. Soren reached for her hand. "You were never alone." Makina looked down at their joined hands. "Oh, I was." "For a long time." "Not anymore." Makina met his eyes. Something passed between them. Not love, not yet, but something close. Soren leaned forward, rested his forehead against hers. "We're going to finish this," he said quietly. Makina closed her eyes. "Promise?" "Promise." They sat like that for a long time. Two people who'd lost everything, finding something in each other. The next morning, news broke. Kellen's bail hearing. Makina and Soren watched from the federal building. Live coverage on every channel. The courtroom was packed. Kellen sat at the defense table. Expensive suit, calm expression, like he was at a business meeting, not a murder trial. His lawyers argued. "Mr. Vale is a respected businessman, a pillar of the community. He has no flight risk," the prosecutor countered. "He's accused of murder, witness intimidation, obstruction of justice." Accusations, not convictions. Back and forth. Legal language Makina barely understood. Then the judge spoke. "Bail is set at $5 million. Makina's stomach dropped. "He can pay that," she whispered. Soren's jaw clenched. "I know." Within an hour, Kellen posted bail, walked out of the courthouse. Free. Makina watched him on screen, surrounded by lawyers, smiling for cameras, waving like a celebrity. "It's like nothing happened," Makina said, her voice hollow. He's acting like he's innocent." "That's the plan," Soren said. "Control the narrative." Makina's hands shook. "How do we fight that?" "With truth." But truth felt small, compared to Kellen's money, his power, his smile. That evening, Leora called. "We have a problem." Soren put her on speaker. "What?" Kellen just held a press conference. Makina's chest tightened. "Saying what?" "That he's innocent. That Makina is confused. That her memories are false." Makina's voice rose. "False?" "He's claiming you were traumatized as a child. That your mind created false memories to cope." Makina stood abruptly. "That's not true." "I know, but he's convincing." Soren's fists clenched. "What else?" Leora's voice was grim. "He's hired a team of experts, psychologists, memory specialists. They're going to testify that your memories can't be trusted." Makina felt sick. "So he's calling me crazy?" "Yes, and people will believe him. Some will." Makina sank back into her chair. "Why?" Leora's voice softened. "Because he's rich, powerful, and you're nobody," Makina finished. "That's not what I was going to say. But it's what people think." Silence, because it was true. Think about it. How many times do survivors come forward only to have their stories questioned? How many times are they called liars because someone with power said so? Sometimes believing survivors isn't just about facts, it's about courage. Soren's voice was firm. "We prove she's credible." How? Leora asked. The ring. The footage. The evidence. Kellen's team will challenge all of it. Then we fight harder. McKenna looked at Soren. His jaw was set, his eyes dark. He wasn't giving up. And neither was she. What do we do next? McKenna asked. Leora's voice was steady. We prep for trial, and we don't let Kellen control the story. They hung up. McKenna turned on the TV. Kellen's press conference was playing. He stood at a podium, surrounded by lawyers and supporters, looking every bit the victim. I'm innocent, he said calmly. And I will prove it, a reporter shouted. What about the witness, McKenna Ross? Kellen's expression shifted, sympathetic, concerned. I feel for her, truly. She's been through trauma, but her memories are not reliable. Another reporter. Do you deny killing your father? Kellen's voice was firm. Absolutely. My father's death was a tragedy, but I had nothing to do with it. He paused, looked directly at the camera. And I will not let lies destroy my name. The conference ended. McKenna turned off the TV. Her whole body shook. He's good, she whispered. Soren nodded. He's had years to practice. People will believe him. Some will, but not everyone. McKenna's voice cracked. What if it's enough? Soren took her hands. Then we make sure it's not. That night, McKenna couldn't sleep. Again, she lay in bed, replaying Kellen's words. Her memories are not reliable. Doubt crept in. What if he was right? What if her mind had twisted things? What if— No. She sat up. She knew what she saw. She knew what happened. And she wasn't going to let Kellen take that from her. She got out of bed, walked to the window. The city lights stretched out forever. Somewhere out there, Kellen was free, planning his next move, but so was she. The next morning, Soren's phone rang. Early. Too early. He answered. His face went pale. When? A pause. How? He hung up, turned to McKenna. What happened? She asked. Soren's voice was tight. Kellen just released a statement. About what? Soren showed her his phone. A headline. Kellen Vale reveals the real story behind accusations. Beneath it, a video. McKenna's hands shook as she pressed play. Kellen's face filled the screen. Calm. Sincere. I want to address the accusations directly, he said. McKenna Ross claims she witnessed my father's murder. But what she doesn't know, what no one knows, is that she wasn't the only witness that night. McKenna's breath stopped. There was another child, hidden, watching. Kellen paused, and that child saw the real killer. McKenna's world tilted. Me. The video continued. I was 12 years old, trying to protect my father. But I failed. Kellen's voice cracked. Perfectly. And McKenna's mind mixed our memories together. She remembers my face, my fear, and she thinks I killed him. He looked directly at the camera. But I didn't. I tried to save him. The video ended. McKenna stared at the screen, unable to speak. Soren's jaw clenched. It's a lie. I know. He's rewriting everything. I know. McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. And people will believe him. Because Kellen Vale wasn't just rich. He was smart, and he'd just turned himself into the victim. Headlines exploded overnight. Witness invents story to frame billionaire. Kellen Vale, the real victim. Experts question McKenna Ross's memory. McKenna stared at her phone, screen after screen of articles, all calling her a liar. Her hands trembled. They believe him. Soren stood beside her, silent. Because what could he say? Kellen had money, lawyers, a platform, and McKenna had nothing but her truth, which suddenly felt worthless. Read this one, McKenna whispered. She handed Soren her phone, an op-ed. Why we should be skeptical of McKenna Ross. Soren's jaw clenched as he read. This is character assassination. It's working. McKenna's voice broke. People think I'm lying. Not everyone. Enough people. She took the phone back, scrolled through comments. She's making it, up for attention. Gold digger trying to take down a rich man. Her story doesn't make sense. Each comment felt like a knife. McKenna's chest tightened. Maybe they're right. Soren grabbed her shoulders. Don't do that. Do what? Doubt yourself. That's what he wants. McKenna's eyes burned. What if I am confused? What if my memory— Stop. Soren's voice was firm. You know what you saw. Do I? Yes. McKenna pulled away, paced the room. Kellen's story sounds believable. It's meant to. He said he was there, trying to save his father. He's lying. How do you know? Soren's voice dropped. Because I know my brother. McKenna stopped pacing, looked at him. What if the jury believes him instead of me? Soren's expression was steady. Then we make sure they see the evidence. What evidence? Soren walked to his briefcase, pulled out a small box, opened it. Inside was the ring. Gold, scratched. Recovered from Marcus Reed during the break-in. This, Soren said. McKenna stared at it. Your father's ring. Yes. The one I saw that night. Yes. Soren held it up to the light. This proves Marcus was there, and that Kellen kept it. McKenna's voice was barely audible. Will it be enough? It has to be. She reached out, touched the ring gently. Cold metal, but it felt like hope. Tell me the plan again, she said quietly. Soren set the ring back in the box. We present this at trial, along with the footage. Your testimony. And if Kellen's lawyers say it's circumstantial, then we show the jury who he really is. McKenna's throat burned. I'm scared. I know. What if we lose? Soren met her eyes. We won't. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll fight until the end. McKenna's chest ached. Why? Because someone once died protecting you. I won't waste that. McKenna's tears fell, but this time they weren't from fear. They were from gratitude. She picked up the ring, held it in her palm, felt its weight. This small piece of metal, proof of a life taken, a truth buried. She closed her fingers around it. I won't run anymore, she whispered. To the ring, to herself, to everyone who'd ever told her to stay quiet. I'm done hiding. Soren watched her. Something shifted in his expression. Not pity, pride. Then let's finish this, he said. McKenna nodded, set the ring down carefully. What's next? We wait for the trial date. How long? Soren's phone buzzed. He looked at it. His face changed. What? McKenna asked. Soren's voice was tight. The court just announced it. McKenna's heart raced. When? Soren showed her the screen, a news alert. Kellen Vale trial set for January 20th. McKenna read the date, then read it again. That's 1 week. Yes, her breath caught. 1 week. Yes. McKenna's legs felt weak. She sat down slowly. That's not enough time. Soren knelt in front of her. We'll make it enough. How? We prep. Every day. Every hour. McKenna looked at him. What if I'm not ready? Soren's voice was steady. You've been ready your whole life. McKenna's throat burned. I'm scared. Good. That means you care. He took her hands. Kellen wanted to silence you, to erase you, to make you disappear. His grip tightened. But you're still here, and in 1 week you're going to stand in front of a jury and tell them the truth. McKenna's voice shook. What if they don't believe me? Then we tried, and that's more than most people get. McKenna searched his face. You really think we can win? Soren's eyes were dark, determined. I think truth is stronger than lies, even when the lies have money behind them. McKenna exhaled slowly. Okay. She stood, squared her shoulders. 1 week. 1 week. McKenna looked at the ring one more time, then at Soren. Let's get to work. And for the first time since this all started, McKenna felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not hope, not confidence, but purpose. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for every person who'd ever been silenced. Every witness who'd been told their truth didn't matter. Every survivor who'd been called a liar. This wasn't just about Kellen, it was about justice. And justice was worth fighting for, even if it scared her, even if she lost. Because staying silent was worse than any verdict. The trial was in 1 week, and McKenna Ross was ready. The courtroom was silent. McKenna stood in the witness box, every eye on her, the jury, the judge, the cameras, and Kellen, sitting at the defense table, staring at her with cold eyes. The prosecutor stepped forward. Ms. Ross, please tell the court what you witnessed on the night of January 15th, 15 years ago. McKenna's hands gripped the railing. Her voice came out steady, stronger than she expected. I was 12 years old. My mother brought me to a parking garage. She said we were meeting someone who could help us. The room was still. When we arrived, I saw 2 men arguing. One was Arthur Vale, the other was his son, Kellen. Kellen's jaw tightened. My mother told me to hide, so I did. Behind a car. McKenna's voice didn't waver. I watched them argue. Then Kellen pulled out a gun. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. He shot his father. I saw it happen. The prosecutor nodded. And what happened next? Arthur Vale fell. Kellen stood over him. Then another man appeared. Marcus Reed. He was watching the whole time. And after? McKenna's throat tightened. Soren's mother found me. She told me to run. She saved my life. Her eyes burned. But she didn't make it out. The prosecutor paused. Let the weight of those words settle. Ms. Ross, are you certain about what you saw? McKenna looked directly at Kellen. Yes, no doubt. None. The prosecutor turned to the jury. Your witness. Kellen's lawyer stood. Expensive suit, confident smile. Ms. Ross, you were 12 years old, traumatized, in the dark. McKenna's voice was calm. Yes. And you expect this jury to believe you remember every detail? I remember what matters, the lawyer smirked. Memories fade, especially traumatic ones. Not this one. You've been in therapy, correct? Yes. And you were told you had repressed memories. Yes. So it's possible your mind created false images to fill the gaps. McKenna's voice was firm. No. You can't be sure. Yes, I can. The lawyer's smile faltered. How? Because I've lived with this memory every day for 15 years. It never left. It was just buried. She leaned forward. And now it's free. The lawyer tried again. You have no physical proof. No witnesses to corroborate your story. The prosecutor stood. Actually, we do. He held up the ring. Gold, scratched. This ring belonged to Arthur Vale. It was found in the possession of Marcus Reed. Ms. Ross described this ring in detail before we ever recovered it. He placed it on the evidence table. That's corroboration. The defense lawyer's confidence cracked. That proves nothing. It proves she's telling the truth. The judge intervened. Proceed. The prosecutor presented the footage next. Grainy. Dark, but clear enough. 2 men arguing. A gun. A body falling. The jury watched in silence. When it ended, the prosecutor spoke. The defense wants you to believe Ms. Ross is confused, that her memories can't be trusted. He gestured to the screen. But this footage confirms her account. And this ring proves she saw what she says she saw. He turned to the jury. Kellen Vale murdered his father, and McKenna Ross is the only person brave enough to say it. The defense tried to counter, but their arguments felt hollow, empty, because the truth was louder. After 3 days of testimony, the jury deliberated. McKenna sat in a small room, waiting, Soren beside her. "How long do you think?" she whispered. "I don't know." McKenna's hands twisted together. "What if they don't believe me? Then we appeal. For how long? As long as it takes." McKenna closed her eyes. "I'm so tired." Soren took her hand. No. 2 hours later, the jury returned. McKenna's heart pounded as they walked back into the courtroom. The judge spoke. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" The foreman stood. "We have, Your Honor." McKenna couldn't breathe. "On the charge of murder in the first degree, how do you find the defendant?" The foreman looked at Kellen, then spoke. "Guilty." The word echoed. The courtroom erupted. Reporters shouted. Cameras flashed. Kellen's face went white. McKenna's knees buckled. Soren caught her. "You did it," he whispered. McKenna couldn't speak, just sobbed into his shoulder. The judge banged his gavel. "Order!" He turned to Kellen. "Kellen Vale, you have been found guilty of murder. Sentencing will be in 2 weeks." Kellen was led away in handcuffs. He looked back once, at McKenna, not with anger, but with something else. Disbelief, like he never thought she'd actually win. Outside the courthouse, McKenna stood in the sun. Free. Really free. For the first time in 15 years, Soren stood beside her. "How do you feel?" McKenna's voice was soft. "Like I can breathe again." Soren smiled. "Good." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Soren spoke. "There's something I need to do." McKenna frowned. "What?" Soren took her hand. "Come with me." They drove for 20 minutes, to a place McKenna didn't recognize, a cemetery. Soren led her through rows of headstones, until they stopped at 2 graves, side by side, Arthur Vale, and beside him. Soren's mother. McKenna's chest tightened. "I wanted to tell them," Soren said quietly, "that justice was served." McKenna's eyes burned. "Do you think they know?" "I hope so." They stood in silence. Then Soren knelt, not at the graves, but in front of McKenna. She gasped. "What are you doing?" Soren looked up at her. "You didn't just help me face the past. You changed my future." McKenna's breath caught. "Soren, I'm not asking for an answer now, but I need you to know." His voice was steady. "You're the strongest person I've ever met, and I don't want to face another day without you." McKenna's tears fell. "I won't promise you perfection," Soren continued. "Only honesty, and safety, and choice." He held out a small box, opened it. Inside was a simple ring. "Will you?" McKenna's voice shook. "Yes." Soren stood, pulled her into his arms, and for the first time in her life, McKenna felt whole. Think about it. Justice doesn't happen by accident. It requires witnesses willing to speak, survivors willing to fight, people willing to believe. Without them, truth stays buried. And that's how the powerful win. Months later, McKenna stood on a rooftop at sunset. The city stretched below her. Soren stepped behind her. "Ready?" She turned, smiled. "For what?" "The rest of our lives." McKenna looked at the ring on her finger, then at him. "Yes." She thought about the girl who once cleaned floors quietly, who was told she didn't matter, who was erased. That girl was gone. In her place stood someone new, someone who'd fought, and won. The price that was named that night wasn't money, it was truth, and truth, once chosen, changes everything. 6 months later, McKenna stood on a rooftop. Sunset painted the sky in gold and orange. The city stretched below her, alive, moving, free, just like her. She closed her eyes, breathed in the warm air. For the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid, wasn't hiding, wasn't running. She was just standing, in the light, visible, real. "You look peaceful," Soren said behind her. McKenna opened her eyes, turned to face him. I am. He stepped closer, took her hands. I have something to say. McKenna smiled softly. You always do. Soren's expression was serious, but his eyes were warm. When I first saw you in that penthouse, I didn't know your name. I didn't know your story, but I knew something. What? That you deserved better. McKenna's throat tightened. Soren, let me finish. He squeezed her hands gently. You didn't just help me face the past. You changed my future. McKenna's eyes burned. I didn't do anything special. Yes, you did. Soren's voice was firm. You chose truth over safety, justice over silence, and you did it when everyone told you not to. He paused. That's not ordinary. That's extraordinary. McKenna's tears fell, but she didn't wipe them away. Soren let go of her hands, reached into his pocket, pulled out a small box, opened it. Inside was a ring. Simple, elegant, beautiful. I'm not doing this because I think you need me, Soren said quietly. I'm doing this because I need you. McKenna's breath caught. You showed me what courage looks like, what strength really means, and I don't want to spend another day without you. He didn't kneel, because this wasn't about tradition. It was about choice. I won't promise you perfection. I can't promise you an easy life, but I can promise you honesty, and safety, and freedom. His voice softened. Will you choose this? With me? McKenna's tears came harder now, but she was smiling. Yes. Soren's face broke into a smile. He slid the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into his arms, held her like she was the most precious thing in the world, because to him she was. They stood there for a long time, two people who'd lost everything, and found something better. Not perfection, but truth. And truth was enough. Later that night, McKenna stood by the window, looking out at the city lights, thinking about everything that had happened, about the girl she used to be, invisible, silent, afraid. That girl had scrubbed floors, kept her head down, believed she was nobody. But she wasn't nobody. She never was. She was a survivor, a witness, a fighter. And now she was free. Soren came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? McKenna leaned back into him. About how far I've come. You should be proud. I am, but I'm also thinking about everyone who didn't make it this far. Soren was quiet, the people who stayed silent because they were too scared. McKenna continued. The ones who were never believed, the ones who gave up. Her voice was soft but steady. I want to help them. Soren turned her around. How? McKenna's eyes were bright, determined. I want to start a foundation. For survivors, for witnesses, for anyone who's been silenced. Soren's expression shifted. Pride filled his face. That's a beautiful idea. Will you help me? Always, McKenna smiled. Then let's do it. Because she'd learned something through all of this. Stories matter, not just hers, everyone's. The maid who was never seen. The child who witnessed murder. The woman who fought back. All of it mattered. And if sharing her story could help even one person find their voice, then every moment of pain had been worth it. Think about it. How many stories go untold because people are scared? How many truths stay buried because no one wants to listen? Sharing stories isn't just about the past, it's about changing the future, for everyone. 1 year later, McKenna stood in front of a crowd. A foundation launch event. Cameras, supporters, survivors. All gathered to hear her speak. She looked out at the faces. Some she knew. Most she didn't. But they all had one thing in common. They'd been silenced. And now they were ready to speak. My name is McKenna Ross, she began. And I was told my whole life that I didn't matter. that my voice didn't count, that I should stay quiet. The room was still, but I didn't, and because I spoke, justice was served. She paused. But this isn't just about me. It's about all of us. She gestured to the crowd. Every person in this room has a story, and every story deserves to be heard. Applause filled the space. McKenna felt tears sting her eyes, but she kept going. This foundation exists for one reason, to make sure no one ever has to face their truth alone. More applause. When the event ended, McKenna stood outside, Soren beside her. "You did amazing," he said. McKenna smiled. "We did. Amazing." She looked up at him. "Thank you for believing me, for fighting with me, for choosing me." Soren kissed her forehead. "Always." They walked toward their car, hand in hand. The city lights glowed around them, and for the first time, McKenna felt complete. Not because her past was erased, but because she'd faced it. And won. The price that was named that night? It wasn't money. It wasn't power. It was truth. And truth, once chosen, changes everything. McKenna thought about the girl who stood behind that drink cart. Small. Quiet. Invisible? She'd survived. She'd remembered. She'd spoken. And now she was free. She looked at Soren, at the ring on her finger, at the life they were building. And she smiled. Because the story wasn't over. It was just beginning. And this time, she was writing it herself. As they drove away, McKenna glanced back one last time. At the building. At the people still gathered. At the faces of survivors finding their voices. And she knew. This was what mattered. Not revenge, not fame, not even justice, but hope. Hope that things could change, that voices could be heard, that truth could win. And as the city lights faded behind them, McKenna whispered to herself, "I'm not invisible anymore." Soren squeezed her hand. "You never were." And for the first time in her life, McKenna believed it. The end, but not really, because some stories don't end. They just transform into new beginnings, into second chances, into freedom. And McKenna Ross, she was finally, truly free.